and welcome to Purgatory. My name is Laden, Osama bin Mohammed bin Awad bin Laden, and I was born in 1957. I was the 17th of 52 children, and my father was a billionaire who owned a construction company. In 1979, I graduated from King Abdul Aziz University, and that same year, I went to Afghanistan to join the Holy War and fight against the Soviet Union. 1980 to 1989, I raised money for the Mujahideen forces in Afghanistan. During that time, I also personally was fighting with the Soviet Union. In 1988, I founded a group, you may know the name. Its name is Al-Qaeda, and that was the beginning of everything.
When the Soviets pulled out of Afghanistan in 1989, Osama bin Laden and his partner Azam wanted Al-Qaeda to continue. They wanted to prepare Al-Qaeda to fight anywhere in the world. When Azam died in 1989, Osama bin Laden assumed full leadership of Al-Qaeda.
On August 7th, 1990, the U.S. started invading Saudi Arabia. I was outraged. How could they step foot in Mecca and Medina, my holy land? So, a year later, I was expelled from Saudi Arabia. Me and my followers moved to Sudan, and in 1993, February 26th, we bombed the World Trade Center, killing 3 and wounding hundreds. It was all perfect, except in 1996, I was expelled from Sudan, so me, my 3 wives, and my children moved back to Afghanistan. These Americans, they come in and invade our holiest land. I now declare a jihad, a holy war, on the American government because it is unjust and tyrannical! Al-Qaeda! Al-Qaeda will live on!
When Sudan forced bin Laden to return to Afghanistan, he struggled to rebuild his terrorist network. It wasn't until the rise of the Taliban that bin Laden had Al-Qaeda back on its feet again. He had enough confidence to issue his 1998 fatwa against the United States and its citizens. By this time, Al-Qaeda had merged with the Egyptian Islamic Jihad. Al-Qaeda was the main headquarters for international terrorism. While previous acts of Al-Qaeda involved funding, training, and aiding other groups, the new refuge in Afghanistan allowed bin Laden to take Al-Qaeda to the next level.
In accordance with the announcement by the U.S. Attorney in New York this afternoon, the U.S. Department of State is offering a reward of up to $5 million for any information that leads to the arrest and/or conviction anywhere in the world of Osama bin Laden. Today he was charged with the bombings of the U.S. embassies in Nairobi, Kenya, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, in the U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York. These cowardly attacks, allegedly planned and financed by Osama bin Laden and carried out by his followers, resulted in the terrorist murders of over 200 people, including 12 innocent American soldiers. Over 5,000 other harmless civilians were injured in the attacks. The United States is strong and unwavering in its commitment to the fight against international terrorism. And our motivation is high in bringing those responsible for these barbaric acts to justice, especially Mr. bin Laden.
Mr. Bush?
Yes. Good afternoon. This is your president speaking. As of today, June 7th, 1999, the FBI has added Osama bin Laden to their top 10 most wanted fugitives.
We've seen it from the front angle before, but not from this angle.
The tragedy of 9/11 scarred our country forever. That day will always be with us. Osama bin Laden's attacks on the World Trade Center left America in a state of paranoia and fear. So where were you when 9/11 happened?
I was at work. I taught preschool in West Roxbury at a small preschool there, and I'll never forget, it was a Tuesday. I was working and I ran across the street to get a cup of coffee, and I opened the door. It was like 9 in the morning, and I saw a woman. She was watching TV like up on a wall, and I saw her fall to her knees, and I thought, oh my gosh, something bad happened. And I looked on the TV and I kind of watched it for a few minutes, and I had to go back to work. And I came back and I called my husband, who worked in the stock market at the time. He was at a company in Waltham. And we kind of, I hate to say that we laughed, but it was like, oh my God, who would have done that? Someone didn't know how to fly the plane, and I didn't really think, obviously, that it was a hijacking. I thought it was an accident. And then a little while later, maybe half an hour later, my husband called and said there was a second plane that hit the World Trade Center, and right then and there I knew that it was something bad, that it wasn't a coincidence. And the morning kind of went on. We didn't have a TV at my work because it was a preschool, so I kept leaving and going back to Dunkin' Donuts to watch the screen. And my husband kept calling. I don't think I had a cell phone at the time. I think I kept running back to work and he would call. And then he told me about the 2 other planes, and then I knew that we were under attack. And in the meantime, parents were coming in to pick up their children and no one was saying anything. Everybody was just kind of stone-faced. No one wanted to say anything around the kids. But it was just that look of like, no one could believe that it was happening.
So how did it affect you and your family?
Well, that day, Emma was at the school with me. She was 4. Caroline was at a babysitter's. Larry's company let him go. He picked the kids up and I stayed for a little bit. I had to close up. But I remember just that eerie feeling of I felt so scared and vulnerable. And it was so unlike me to feel that way. And coming home that night, and they had shut the airport down, it was just no one was out on the roads. And I came home and I remember laying in bed that night and I heard a loud noise, and so unrealistically I thought it was a plane crashing into my house, like in Braintree, Massachusetts, a plane. And here I am, 30-something years old, very, I'm intelligent, I'm reasonable, and I was so afraid that day that I thought it was the end of the world. I thought we were all gonna die. And I think everybody around us, my sister was working in Boston at the time, I was so worried about her and her safety. She got in a taxi with a bunch of other people and came home. My younger sister's married to a man who's Indian, and a few days after, he was studying actually to be a pilot, and a few days after he was at a Starbucks in Hingham, and he has darker skin because he's Indian, and he's reading a pilot book, and someone called the manager on him. Someone called the manager on him, to check him out to make sure that he was, okay, and I'm sure she was feeling just as vulnerable as everybody else was.
Thank you. After the attacks, American airport security has never been stricter. The Aviation and Transportation Security Act created many of these changes. First off, only ticketed passengers can now get through the security gate after numerous pat-downs and x-rays. Also, you cannot bring liquid or shoes onto airplanes. And pilots were allowed to carry guns and acted as air marshals on planes.
Even further, Bush enforced the Patriot Act. This act increased punishment on terrorist crimes, eliminated statute of limitation on terrorist crimes, and used surveillance against suspected terrorists. These may violate our rights, but they protect us from terrorism. As of now, 2 months after the 9/11 tragedy, the U.S. is offering a $25 million bounty for Osama bin Laden. Today, January 18, 2002, the U.S. government received information that the claim that Osama bin Laden died of kidney failure has proven to be inaccurate. Therefore, our search for him continues in Pakistan.
In August 2010, the U.S. CIA has informed me on a possible lead in the location of Osama bin Laden. We are trying to obtain as much information as we can, as quickly as we can. During this month of April 2011, I believe that there is enough credible intelligence on the whereabouts of Al-Qaeda's leader, Osama bin Laden. I'm setting the military actions in motion today. I'd like to inform the American people today that on May 1st, 2011, we have been successful in the execution of Osama bin Laden. I told the director of the CIA, Leon Panetta, bin Laden was our first priority. We got a hold of one of bin Laden's couriers, and listening to his phone calls, we were led to a northeastern Pakistani compound. With this information, SEAL Team 6 invaded the compound and executed the most wanted man in America. God bless America.